Not yet. Hey. What's up? What's up? What's up? It's the Artifakt Hour. We're here, episode 2. We're in the studio today, about to paint with some water-based. So water-based spray paint. This stuff is like, it's magic. It's a new formula. Basically allows you to spray indoors with no fumes or odors or toxins in the air. There's still some particles similar to an airbrush, so that's why I'm wearing this respirator. But it's not gonna create vapors and give you the same headache or the same adverse reactions when you spray paint indoors. So that's what I'm messing around with today. So yeah, we got Audrey in the studio over here.
Hey.
What's up? What's up? And we got Tom over here running the cameras and the production behind the scenes. So yeah, we're just gonna get into it. Do the thing. I'm really just kind of taking this piece, right? And let me talk about this piece for a second. So this is our garage door to our studio here. Basically, I'll show you. This like just opens right up. We use this this door to load gear in and out of our studio space. It's kind of like a garage kind of space here, but one day, me and my buddy Bleak, we just decided that this door was blank, and so we just started blasting it with these cans and kind of just freestyled this background on here. I'll step out of the way so I'm not just blocking it. But yeah, so like we freestyled this background, and you know, just kind of just flowed with it and just made these weird patterns, and then kind of just left it. We painted all of this with water-based, and you know, we're just kind of messing around, experimenting, whatever, making the door, just kind of giving it some funky blends and, you know, weird line work and stuff. And then the pieces just kind of sat here ever since. And like I was sitting here today, we're talking about, you know, what do we want to paint? What are we gonna do for this, you know, for this this Artifakt Hour? And honestly, I really have been wanting to paint walls and just jam, you know, like freestyle stuff with cans. And so, you know, for those who don't know, right now in the Northeast, it's like freezing rain up here, and everything's kind of like iced over, and like,
Putting
you
it
know,
mildly.
it's like 20 degrees out, so that's really not an option. So that's why this water-based stuff is so dope, and I kind of just need to scratch the itch a little bit. So that's what I'm gonna do. Anyways, Audrey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited because doing this Artifakt Hour is kind of pulling me in and inspiring me to paint as well. So I'm just working on a teeny little, I don't even know what size this is. It's so small. It's great though, because that's all I need. Just working on a little new piece that's a thank you gift for a dear friend, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, all right, word. Yeah, like honestly, we were kind of discussing this, like, what is this thing? This like
Live stream
weird
podcast
show thing that we kind of wanted to do and create, and you know, we don't really know. It's like it's an experiment, just like this piece was, or just like any sort of like freestyle thing is. It really has to be done in that like effort of like just making shit up from the top of your head, you know, and like just experimenting. Like I really think a lot of like everything comes out of that. All evolution of any art form or medium, you have to just play with it and mess around. And like to me, that's what video is, like YouTube and all this stuff and the internet in general. It's like it's a platform and a tool which to just mess around with. Like I really am trying my best to not take it seriously, you know. And you know, we obviously want to make the production, you know, quality, and we want the art to look good, and we want the sound and the lights to look good. But at the end of the day, we're just fucking around. And I really think that's all it's really about. Like the deeper I go with art in general, like that's I always come back to that place, that starting point of like simplicity. If it's really just fun, like the best art comes when I just make it from the heart and the soul of just, you know, what do I want to say? What's on my mind? How do I feel?
We also
like,
just want to like give people a peek into the studio and what it's really like, because like, yes, we're creating something, and at the end of the day, there's something that's finished or a product or whatever you want to call it, but there's a whole process, and we're real people having real lives, and you know what I mean? Like, it's cool to see the finished thing of something, but I think the process of anything is so important, and I think it's even more important to have a personal connection and see that, oh wow, there's another human on the other end of this piece of artwork or masterpiece or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Like sometimes you can get disconnected from like we put our work out there like as an artist, like you're putting yourself out, and I think people just like they can fill in the blanks of what they see, they only see what they see, right? Like all they see is this wall or this piece or this art or like whatever that you put out there, and if you like, you know, you crush something or people are really seeing your stuff a lot, like they just see what they see, like because that's all we're putting out there. Like we don't put all the times when we're like just grinding away in this studio or this room or this wall or this sidewall. Like you spend so much time in the weirdest places, like just you know what I mean, like covered in paint and just getting like super into it, that it's just like it's gritty. It's not so like glamorous, right? So like
For sure.
I don't think there's really like a point to always like showing the in-betweens. It's kind of like a lot of it we keep for ourselves. Like
Exactly.
I feel like some of the most like amazing moments happen, and it's like something you couldn't really capture. Like you just had to be there in a weird cheesy way, but it's like the process, like, you know, is like to me like
the magic. And so that's kind of it. We're like, oh, people got to see the magic too.
Right.
Like,
you
they'll
gotta
appreciate it that much more.
Yeah, you got to see the laboratory or the like the journey, like the good, the bad, the ugly. Like it's like the piece doesn't always look good in the beginning when you start it out. Like
no.
Even right now, I'm kind of like feeling it out. I'm not like, you know, I'm not like I haven't touched this thing in, you know, a year. Like it's been, you know,
Probably
just
more
been
than
sitting
that.
here. So, you know, I'm just kind of fucking with shit. But I don't know. Yeah, like I think it's important to just be like honest and real about it. That like, you know, there's like a, I don't know. There's a fine line with this stuff where it's like, it's a balance of work and play. And like, I think for us, like, yeah, there's a lot of parts of the work behind the scenes that like, yeah, it's not worth like seeing, you know. It's like,
yeah, the
it's
grindy
kind of,
stuff.
and
That's
you
the
have
time lapse stuff.
like, yeah, you time lapse stuff, because who wants to watch, like, you know, you don't want to watch me paint a 10-hour, 20-hour, 30-hour painting. Like that doesn't even make sense, you know. Like this form, but that's the work, and that's sometimes what it takes to like make that stuff happen, you know. But in this case, in this scenario, I think that like with the play aspect, like I can just jam on stuff, like, you know, in this quick kind of like loose nature, which, you know, maybe is or isn't entertaining to somebody, but, you know, at least it's just like a peek into like, you know, kind of like stream of consciousness, like what's on, you know, what's in the air today, and like just kind of trying to pull it out, you know, from like, you know, if you know, the more it's in the moment, the better, I guess. So we'll see, you know, try not to plan shit. I thought I had a totally different concept today that I've been working on. I was working on this sign project over here, and that's kind of taking up most of my day, like as far as like my work life. So this is actually kind of dope. Like this podcast breaks it up. This paint cast, I should say.
Paint cast.
We call this a paint cast because we paint while we talk.
That.
But it breaks up the work balance, because otherwise I just like grind, you know, and then I forget, like, oh, I gotta balance it out with the play aspect of art, which is like
Work hard, play hard.
correct. Yeah, like that's the cliche shit that, like, you know,
No, it's
people
real.
say, but like it's totally real for sure.
I like your eyeball.
Or yeah,
something.
it's coming. It's getting there. I'm kind of just like trying to carve it out. It's one of these things. It's actually hard to talk and paint at the same time, but you know, I'm learning. It's like playing. I always thought it was really hard to play music and sing like that.
I think it is and it isn't, because when we have so many times not had a camera on us doing this same kind of thing, sometimes, Ryan, you do talk incessantly.
This is true.
So
Yeah, this is true. Like, there's a million. This whole thing is birthed out of like all the
reality.
crazy rants and just like
Yeah.
wormholes that we go down, like as artists or friends or in whatever scenario, we get into some like deep conversations while we're making
Yeah.
stuff. And
And
we're
we
like, oh,
have-
damn, if we only recorded this,
Yeah, people
or
need to
like
hear
let someone
this.
tap into it. And so, I guess that's where we're at. So
For sure. I think
paint cast is the term, like a mix of like the Bob Ross show meets like, a podcast just with artists talking about art related stuff or not talking about art at all, but at least incorporating or making some element live, as like a live painting sort of experience.
for sure, but I also think that like this is my personal opinion, the stuff that you paint is so crazy and epic sometimes that it can speak for itself. Like if I were just a spectator watching this at home, I would not mind if for 5 minutes you didn't talk at all, because
Okay.
that's how
Huh.
no, seriously, because that's how epic what you're painting and engaging what you're painting is. Maybe I'm the only one who feels that way, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, it's good. Like I feel it's like how much dead space or dead air should you leave? Especially like with radio. Like
True.
I've done like radio or podcast or stuff before, and it's like it's important to keep talking and not just
That's real.
like leave it like dead air is not.
Well, in that case, we should probably then extract the audio from this and put it on Spotify as a podcast.
Not a
Ooh,
bad
there's
idea.
an idea.
An
I could do that
idea.
in about 10 minutes for us.
Yeah, but
so.
it's like I guess with the paint cast, it's really relevant to the visual, and I think separating one from the two kind of takes away from what it really is.
Yeah, I agree.
You see?
I
So
agree.
speaking of that, yeah, this water-based spray paint, it's made by MTN Colors. They're a brand that we rep and sell and paint in all of our stuff with. I'm kind of like messing around with the Lego cap, and then like this one I'm messing around with like this flame skinny blue, which is like a really fine line cap. The Lego cap is more of a it's an outline cap, but it's also like a shading cap and you can do fills and tags. It's really great. It's a good cap for tagging. But in this case, the water-based paint, it gives you like a really perfect size dot. Like, at least it lets the paint flow a little better. These water-based cans, they're not for everybody. They can they're not as clean. Like they spit a lot. They like create a lot of like random, dust and this and that. But like I like that. So like for stuff like this, that's just like chaotic and weird. They're perfect. But they definitely don't have the same level of control. They are lower pressure than like your average spray paint, so that's kind of cool because you can do stuff on canvas. Like you can do mad, crazy small details with these cans, especially once they're almost basically empty. But basically, like, yeah, you don't like when they're full. The cans because the formula of the paint is water based. They do tend to drip a little more, and you got to go lighter with the coats because they take longer to dry. But like that being said, you can spray it in a cup and use it with a brush and markers, and like you can do all types of stuff with this paint. So as far as indoor studio use, like this stuff is the shit. I really recommend it. It just has like a learning curve like anything. So. And it has no real use in the graffiti world, honestly, other than like you can't smell the paint. So one less thing that makes you detected. It was actually
Allegedly.
Well, no. So this formula was actually invented in Spain because they would paint clean trains, which are passenger trains
Right.
In they're in these tunnels and these depots where if a guard smells spray paint, it's a dead giveaway. So like they needed an odorless formula. But basically it translates to
Telling me it wasn't
like
for their health?
when we work in restaurants or when we work in like really clean, sterile places that people don't want to have to smell paint.
Or a business is already open or something.
Right. Yeah. You can paint. Right. We painted right in a cafe while people were like getting their coffee and tea and all that stuff, and like they were none the wiser to it.
Oh, you mean they were open serving while you were in there?
Yeah.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were spray painting in the cafe while there's customers while they were open, like it was no big deal, and nobody complained or said a word.
There you go.
So anyways, yeah, it works. So one weird thing right now, I just want to mention, like this door has crazy ridges, and like I don't know how much you can see it in this camera, but like it's not a flat surface by any means. I just want to like it's got like a gate over it and just all these ridges and fixtures and handles and all this stuff. So like the point of like how realistic can one really get on like that's this piece is like with stuff like this it kind of reminds me of like painting trains or painting any like like any doors or like just like abandoned or like spaces that like it's the worst, most like roughest surfaces. Like you can't worry about perfectionism. Like there's you just embrace the imperfection because you're literally painting on decaying surfaces. Like how much are you gonna give a shit about like every little line and every little thing? Like when we're painting something that like like you're gonna look at it every day, like the wall garage door of the studio, it's like you get a little more stuck and like a little more like you're committing to it. But like ultimately, like I'm gonna say right now, like this surface sucks to paint on. So like one of the things I want to like I'm trying to say to myself in my head is right now is like let it go. Just like I'm doing an eyeball obviously, and like there's some aspect of realism here, but like only to an extent,
So I wanna bring something up that you mentioned that I am 99% sure I mentioned last week when we started this paint cast, and that's this concept of perfectionism. I have come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter what industry or realm we're talking about. Perfectionism is not a thing. It's not a real thing. It's definitely something purported by modern society and technology and the quote unquote capacity that technology has for perfectionism. But the truth is that, like, you okay?
Ow. Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, I did the knuckle bash.
Yeah, that's to give you an idea of how insane and how many obstacles this canvas has.
No, yeah, I sometimes, never mind. Keep going with what you're saying.
I was just saying that I've come to the conclusion that perfectionism is bullshit, and I just like drop that word altogether from my vocabulary because if anything, I would say perfectly imperfect, because like the nature of anything that comes out of me that I create as a human is not going to be perfect. It's going to be human, and that's even better. And whether it's painting a piece and it being, this is a good example. Whether it's painting a piece, I paint really more than anything. I call it oh crap, what's the name I had for it? Oh, I know what it was. It was mandala pointillism. Like I just do a lot of dots, and I like to do symmetrical, like geometric type shapes. And so I just named it mandala pointillism. But my point with it is that there is a thing with symmetry in that world. And I also happen to teach yoga, and there is a thing with like moving your body where you start to notice that there's two sides and they're pretty similar, but they're not symmetrical. They're not exactly the same. And probably the older you are, the less symmetrical your body feels. And I'm just getting back to the perfectionism thing that, like, I really don't believe that word or that concept deserves to be in the discussion, in the conversation, anyone's conversation in general, because it's an unattainable thing, and I don't see any reason why we need that. Why can't we strive for being ultimately human, perfectly imperfect, just asymmetrical, and it's still awesome and super balanced, or dare I say, natural, you know?
Yeah, I know. I feel you. These are good things to chew on, I guess, right?
Yeah. So much so that I think it was Tom, our producer, who is sitting here running things in his amazing Capricornian way, and he said the word perfectionism or perfect or something like that the other day, and I had the funniest, like, intense reaction of, like, no, we don't say that word, da, 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 da. But, like, jokingly, but it's just kind of funny because to my point, it's just one of those things that's, I think, gives a lot of people more.
Well, it
difficulty.
prevents them from making art, like specifically bringing it
Prevents
back
them
to
from doing anything. Like, back to my other yoga example, so many people, I've had so many students who, like, get frustrated and really, like, there's a lot of friction that's created because they're just trying to like force something. That's what it is.
Yeah, but, like, specifically, again, relating it back to art, and is like, you know, not not fixated on the result, you know, fixated on, you know, having an expectation for it. Like, I think people, what prevents people from, like, creating or actively creating or just, like, keeping a consistent creative practice is the need to obtain, like, a result. So, like, if you have it's what you're taught in grade school. Okay, you have an assignment, and it's to paint an apple. You know, you got, or a still life, or a flower, or some assignment of something you have to accomplish that you get graded on from from A to F, and it's based on your ability to render said object in a realistic manner with said medium. It's so specific, the parameters are so specific about it that, like, you can either meet the a task or not. And honestly, like, I never did well in that format of, like, traditional, like, schooling in terms of art. Like, I honestly hated the homework element of it. And, I only really ever got into art or pursued it or took it seriously once I stopped, like, when I explored it outside of the confines of school, like, in my own way, just experimenting and fucking around.
I never thought to ask you this before. In college, did you have classes and assignments where you were creating something, probably a piece of artwork, and it was obviously totally subjective, and you were getting one of those grades, as you said, on it?
Yeah, for sure.
Damn, I didn't even realize that.
I'm saying, like, yeah, like, I didn't necessarily get, like, good grades on any, in any art classes. Like, it wasn't relative. Again, it's relative to if you follow the assignment or not. It's not relative to what it is that you created. So, like,
it is and it isn't, though, because the quality of the work is going to correlate to, having followed the assignment.
Yeah, but did you do it right? Like, it doesn't matter if you painted, like, if you come in with a really awesome painting of a unicorn and, like, the homework was, paint this apple. Well, then that doesn't
fair.
Like, doesn't
That's
matter.
fair, but either way, it's just
it's
comes back to my.
It's a moot point.
Yeah,
and the
perfectionism idea is it's ridiculous to be graded or to be judged in that way on subjective stuff at all.
But nonetheless, that's how we're brought up as children
Exactly.
to learn how to create things. So, like, every kid is an artist. Every kid uses crayons and will naturally color and enjoy, like, to some degree, right? But like at some point when you make it a competition, all of a sudden it like it's this like you have this like scale where some people are good and some people are bad, and those who are bad or get that like rejection from it or get that like can't embrace the imperfection of what it is that is unique to them, and they just give up and they quit making art right then and there.
It stunts their creative growth.
It's kind of like, I think like when people like when you learn that Santa Claus isn't real anymore, I think for some people they're like, oh, I'm not an artist. Like they have that moment. See, I've never had that before. And that's like one thing I cannot relate to, because I've always felt like that, and I never let go of it. So it's like the same as like you know, if you believe in magic and you like, I know magic's real, and then like at some point, oh man, like I saw the trick, I saw the thing behind the veil, and now I don't believe in magic anymore, and life sucks, and now I'm an adult, right? Like it's kind of that sort of thing, like giving up on your dreams or whatever. It's definitely like, man, I don't know. I do always live by the thought that everybody's an artist in some way, shape, or form. It's just a matter of like figuring out what is your channel of creativity. Like mine is spray paint, like for sure, 1,000%. Like every other thing, I use tons of other mediums, but it wasn't until this that I really clicked with it, and this will always be my favorite medium because it just is. That's just the way it is. Like I don't know. It just you know, it's what I use the most. It's what I come back to. I think it's what I'm best with. I think it's the best medium for pretty much like all art forms. Like it's like the dominant medium in my opinion, because it's the most versatile. It goes on any surface.
Agreed. Dries
instantaneously, comes in so many different colors, and if you don't have the color, you can blend the colors. Like it has a versatility that, like, say it's the comparison of like, I think spray paint works in 3D. So like, for instance, like this surface is all 3D, right? Like it's all got these grates. It's got these like, you know, bolts and whatever, all this hardware. And yet this can just dust and cover over all of it seamlessly, where I can create this art on top of this like very uneven, this 3D surface. Whereas like a traditional canvas or a piece of paper, like you're completely limited to 2D and so many other mediums, acrylics, oils. Like, yeah, you can build textures and stuff, but realistically, like you can't, if you had to brush paint this surface, good luck with that. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing else you could do here. So like, I don't know. I just make the point that like it wins in a lot of ways. You're working in like essentially spray paint. What is it? You're making like a dust cloud of pigmentation that then is like, depending on the momentum or the way in which you like move the can, like that burst will go in a different shape or a different direction that covers, you know, some 3D element in space. That shit's like, I swear to God, it's like air bending in a sense. You're trying to make the little cloud just like go in the direction that you want it. Right, and you're like with pressing this little button. It's so fucking weird and abstract to me sometimes when I think about it. I'm just like, yo, this stuff is like weird. Like when it does, sometimes you lock in and you feel like you're pressing the button and it's doing exactly what you want it to do. Like the cloud is just going exactly where you want it to, and you're just bending it in the right way, and you're like, yeah, like, and that's so satisfying. It's amazing. But then some days you're like trying to force it, and the wind's going and the can's not working, and you're like, you're not in the right space. And I'm telling you, the cloud, the little, like, it just doesn't want to do what you want it to. It's really funny. You can't force it with spray paint. It's like, it's got like sort of a mind or a physics, you know, a physics of its own that is like, it's random. So it's never quite the same. Like, I don't believe any two spritzes are ever the same, you know, because there's like so many little particles when you look at it, like, and they're all just going in their own weird direction. So like, how are you going to control that? Like, how are you going to make that do what you want and get the result that you want? Like every single time you press it down, it's never like the same, and it's never what you wanted it, quite what you wanted it to be. But nonetheless, if you embrace it and just work with it, like, you know, you can start to learn how to fall in love with it. And So that's why I like spray painting and graffiti in particular, because graffiti is like, it's the good, the bad, the ugly. Like you have to take all of it. Like it's not about, looking real or being pretty. It's like, it simply just exists. And that's that. Like, I was here, so to speak. It's like, it just is what it is. Like, and so you have to embrace it. And like, there's so much letting go in terms of like painting something and not giving, a whole lot of like thought to what the results are, what happens to it after the fact. That's what I'm saying. You're not invested in where it's, its lifespan. You want it to ride as long as possible, but like, so be it. Like you paint the thing, you let it go, and you move on with your life.
It's really ironic.
You can't get too like caught up and fixated on it at all. It doesn't. If it lasts, cool, all right, sweet. You watch it fade into obscurity, but like, sometimes you paint something and you never see it again. You never know what happens, and that doesn't like, you'll always hold the experience of creating it, so that's inside of you and it came out of you. You can do it again, but and someone's gonna see it and find it somewhere, someday, sometime. Even if they buff it, even if like it's gonna have a ripple effect. So it's this trust. It's casting a stone into like the water and just trusting that like, that it does something. You're like, throwing a penny in a wishing well or something, and like being like, I hope someone knows I was, sees my shit. Like someone somewhere is gonna see my shit and know I was up, and like that, and know that I had style. Like that was it. Like it's, it's totally, it's that, but it's like, I don't know. It definitely. The weird thing about that is like somebody always sees it, and that's what I've heard. Some people say everyone sees everything, which is like
specifically with graffiti or just in general.
It's a good way to put it. Everyone sees everything because it's like, like it's out there. Like believe it or not, you sometimes think, some of the some of the worst trains I ever painted were like. They would just roll. I would be like, oh, man, that shit was trash. I hope I never see that again. And then it comes back a million times. You see that one over and over and over.
That's so
and then
funny.
The best ones you do, you're like, oh, that was fire. I can't wait to get some day flicks of that or see it rolling somewhere. Never.
Nope.
You don't get the end of the story. It just becomes this like weird mystery,
I wanted to say this is really ironic. This whole time you've been talking about specifically the medium of spray paint and how awesome it is and airbending and all this. I have been struggling with this, what is it? Acrylic color. I'm pretty sure it's not even just acrylic fluid enough on its own. Like it needs to be mixed with water. It's also old. So my point is it's just like clumping. It's not doing what I want. I'm just like erasing it, like getting it off as we speak. I just find that funny.
So... You're embracing imperfection? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's not even that. I'm saying that you're talking about how epic spray paint is while I'm simultaneously struggling with liquid paint.
Gotcha.
Well, it's not even liquid paint. It's like...
So you're saying you're trying to make the switch?
Well, wait. I'm saying that it's like acrylic out of a bottle and I need a brush for it or a dollop thing that I like to use. But the truth is I've started to embrace... the Posca, the acrylic markers over the last couple years because those, that's like my version of spray paint that it circumnavigates the like potential gloopiness of paint with a brush. The paint marker, like it's just, you're gonna get the shape that the tip is. It's either round or it's chiseled and it's just so much easier for what I do. So I'm just gonna use that. But it's just funny.
You.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't really see what you're doing, but you can see what I'm doing.
Oh, it's all good. There's nothing to see yet. I'll show the camera when there's something to see. It's like one dot on a page. That's it. Or on a canvas.
All right, so I got my eyeball kind of rendered, and now I'm going to get back to just like what we were just talking about, embracing imperfections and just getting weird with it because... Yeah, it's an eye or whatever, but like it'd be cooler if it had more... blend, kind of some explosive energy into this background. I'm kind of just trying to like bring these together in a sense. So I have a lot of like flare techniques in the background and like some splatters and stuff, which are kind of fucking rad. So I'm gonna just run with that.
Do it.
Let me take a second to grab some extra cups,
Okay.
materials,
While
and
you
stuff.
do that, I'm officially done with the liquid paint tonight and onto the paint markers, and they're amazing. It's also, again, a speed thing where you can just kind of keep in flow and you're not stifled by materials being difficult or not cooperating, which is obviously another reason why you love spray paint so much.
Yeah, like I'm really trying to keep it more minimalist these days, where I don't have to like mix stuff and do this and do that,
Yeah.
and like having just like a couple of cans, like this setup right here, like just a couple of cans, just a couple caps, maybe some gloves if I had them, but I don't, and
Gloves?
a respirator, which I'm not using because I can't talk and have a respirator on at the same time. So, just gonna breathe in these particles for you guys.
Wait, what did you
it's
last
not-
week? Oh, you didn't spray too much. You did a little bit.
I did like a little bit of that stencil stuff,
there was
but
some
like I put I don't know.
glaze.
Yeah, it's glazing and stuff. It's not a big deal. I'm really doing very small amounts, and this paint is like,
Yeah, it
like
really
I said,
is fine.
it's a miracle paint. You can like, it's really like the equivalent of airbrushing. If you've ever used an airbrush, it's really not like, it's not that bad. Like, yeah, you can wear a mask. You'll get a headache if you do it too much. You should probably take care of your health. I wouldn't do this at home, but not so bad. Like, we're not choking and dying here.
No.
And I'm telling you, like, if you know what the winters are like up here and you've painted outdoors in the winter, like,
You're crazy.
it's gnarly. Like, and we, days when it's freezing, like we paint all year round outdoors. It's not a thing. But what I'm saying is that days like today, where it's literally freezing rain outside, like how would I be spray painting like in
It
any
won't
other
even
case?
work, right? I mean,
Yeah,
maybe.
it's like yeah, okay, like you can go out and spray paint in 10, 20 degree weather while it's in freezing rain, but like,
The
what are you
can's gonna be
really trying to
fighting.
prove? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just like this, it gives you the option. If you have the option to be able to paint pieces indoors and you don't want to like die of asphyxiation, this is a good alternative.
Well
Like,
said. Well, if
honestly.
you were to paint outside right now with spray paint, wouldn't the cans be like blocking up? Like the spray wouldn't even really come out smoothly, or it would for a second and then it wouldn't work
Well,
unless
it
you had
depends
heaters
on
or
on a
whatever.
lot of. It depends on how the temperature of the can going into the situation. It depends how the temperature of the paint that's inside of the can, because if you keep the
Right.
paint warm indoors and then you bring it outside and you keep it
Right.
warm, and you're moving whatever, it's in your hand or whatever, like it's gonna work just fine.
That makes
It's
sense.
really just the way it dries and cures. Like if a surface is wet, obviously like it's not gonna cure. If it's cold as shit, it's gonna take longer to cure. It's still gonna cure, but how do you cover it again? Like you're just standing. You're
Right.
not just gonna stand there watching it dry. So like, you know what I
Like-
mean? It's inconvenient. Like when you're trying to go over stuff and it's melting.
Yeah. I honestly feel like we know some people who probably are out painting right now, and that thought to me is insane. It's torture.
Well, Audrey,
What?
I think some people are just built different.
To each their own? Yeah.
To each their own.
He makes fun of me because I'm from Florida, as he says.
So back to this piece. I'm doing a couple of things that I just need to I should reference while I'm doing them. I'm using the caps I'm using right now. I'm using New York Fat caps on these, which give it this really bubbly softball type shape, which I love because it's dope for bubbles and flares and weird things. I'm just trying to create some more effects coming in and out of this eyeball so that it's a little more seamless into this weird trippy background.
Ooh, I love it.
I mean,
I like the shading on the bottom. It's some cool.
I don't
I'm seeing
know
like
yet
blues
how I
and
feel.
grays and whites, I think, but it looks really nice. Layered and kind of that light shade layer thing that's going on the bottom. I really like that. Okay, I am in it. Oh my god, the other thing that I think is like a terminology thing that our viewers and listeners should know. If you're into art, especially graph, like you probably know about, or just street art, there's this term that's used of like you're either a Charlie or a Henry, and it basically means
nobody actually
knows that.
That's
I thought that was a widely known thing.
No.
Okay, well you're about to know. You're a Charlie or a Henry. If you're
this
a
is
Henry,
only our thing. It's a thing that a friend of mine, my friend Adam, who taught me one time. And
Adam
I just
O'Day?
reference it forever. No.
Oh.
It's from a he's a painting contractor, and it's really in reference to painting houses and how fast you paint houses, and how when you're building a crew, like a production crew,
funny.
like of painters, you have to make sure that people fall into two categories of painters. You're either a Charlie or a Henry. And a Charlie is somebody who paints very fast and gets shit done and just like crushes shit out, but they're kind of messy and they're kind of like
not an attention to detail.
sometimes they have a tendency to fuck shit up or like forget to finish shit or like they kind of like they rush.
They blast through it.
They rush and they kind of they blast through
it. They're intense.
The Henry is the opposite. The Henry is someone who like paints like super slow and gets every little detail and just like every little tedious thing, but they go in. So sometimes like the Henrys like they get all the details, they hit every spot, they do it like perfect. But with painting, again, even painting a house, there's no such thing as perfect. So like
right.
Henrys have the tendency to take too long. If you have so they don't get stuff done as fast, and they waste a lot of time. So the point is, with a painting crew, you need mixes of Charlie or any collaborative painting like mural team or anything like that. Like you need a mix of Charlies and Henrys. Like if you collab like a duo and two people are painting together, one will fall into that either role. Like if I paint with Audrey, I'm naturally a Henry. Audrey is also naturally a Henry. We will just paint forever. We go super far in. We do every little detail. We just like we'll paint forever. Yeah, we get lost in it, and I have to constantly pull myself back out of it.
And then he pulls me out of it.
So like when we paint together, I have to be Charlie because if I because she's Henry, like she's over there painting in the little Henrietta, as I should call her.
Yes, thank you.
So she's over there painting the little details, which she excels at. That is what she's best at. She's not in her nature to be a Charlie. I can be a Charlie when I need to be one to get shit done, because otherwise I wouldn't finish any paintings.
We wouldn't have this lovely studio.
Because truthfully, when you are an artist, like everyone has their natural, like what's my nature, one way or the other. But you, as your own, when you're independent, you have to be both. You have to be both voices in your head. Like, all right, get shit done, move along. I have to be Charlie. Like, okay, this painting, I've been sitting here, just yapping. Like, I need to kind of get this going, right? But then it's like, okay,
it's a balance.
I also have to make sure I get every little spot and make sure the colors, like a little bit over here and a little bit over here.
I did want to point out real quick, though, it's interesting that we started this topic because I am guilty, most definitely, a Henrietta. That said, technically, a Henrietta is more associated with detail and, dare I say, perfectionism. However, I'm so clear about that and so tamed on it. Mm-hmm. And I mean psychologically, when I'm in that zone, in that pocket, and I'm so deep into a detail, as you said, I want to be clear that in those moments, it's not at all that I'm this has to be perfect and I'm freaking out about it. It's literally just that I don't know, I'm obsessed with the little details because it's just fun and fascinating for me. It's more like a meditative thing. I get lost in it that way. Some people get lost in the big details, like the Charlies, like they can kind of zoom out, I feel like. And that's what they're obsessed with, is the big picture. And doing the whole thing and getting it done is their quote unquote let's say satisfaction. But for me, the satisfaction is like zooming in and going dee, 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 dee. And then when I step back and zoom out, it's like, whoa, like appreciating the effect.
Yeah. Again, this
Yeah.
only applies to specifically to like painting walls, because painting walls is
Fair.
the comparison here. The reason it applies to, this is a painting contractor. The reason it applies to murals, the similarities with painting walls, they're so big you can spend forever on this type of stuff and get in a way that you if you're on the clock, like if you're painting walls for money, let's put it that way, or even if you're painting walls under any type of pressure, like you're always under pressure painting walls, like the sun's going down, the seasons are changing, you gotta rush, you're in a
you have to pee, who knows,
whatever it is. Yeah, like there's always a deadline when you're painting a wall, like you don't have forever the way you do with canvases or other stuff like that. So like that's where this play comes into play, because the biggest mistake people make is they either fall into one or the other, and they can't play both roles for themselves. So again, if you want to be a mural artist, but you're a total Henry and you're not willing to budge and be a Charlie and learn how to be a Charlie, you won't be able to you are not effective. You won't get paintings done. You won't be able to turn them around in time. Your client will be pissed and they won't hire you. People won't hire you if you can't execute. So there's tons of Henrys that would love to be mural, but they can't. It takes them too long to paint a mural that they can't make any money on it. You know what I'm saying? Because their labor time, they would have to get paid exorbitant amounts of money. Whereas and no one's gonna do that. If you're a brand new artist, no one's gonna. So you've gotta there's a friend we have. There's a friend we have, and I love him to death, and I'm not gonna say his name, but we watched him battle a mural, and doing, with using brushes in a very Henry, in a very methodical, very traditional, very amazing way. And his art was very beautiful, but it
looked painful as well.
In true Henry fashion, it was
a painful process.
A very long process that was very tiresome and exhausting, and it pained me to watch. Now,
yeah, Ryan was standing there going, "Oh man, if I could show him this or that trick, his life would be so much easier."
But it was specifically, yes, it was specific. But that again, we all have to play our role. So it was specifically there's certain techniques that I wanted to lend a hand with, but it's not mine. It's we gotta all do it our way.
Well said.
And what I've learned, again, so coming back to that, if it's something that you're doing professionally and you gotta bang these murals out quickly, you gotta have, you gotta be both, because if you're completely a Charlie and trying to be a muralist, well, your work's gonna suck and it's gonna be a hack job. So you're gonna make mistakes and people are gonna notice, and you're gonna miss certain details. You're not gonna listen to what the client really needs, and you're gonna spell words wrong. You gotta slow down to be able to do it right, so you don't fuck things up. That's fundamental. The art has to be quality, and it's not gonna come out quickly. You gotta take your time with that shit and make sure you're doing it, every little thing. So if you can't be Henry, you also it's not gonna work. So I don't know. Trying to always find that balance within myself. But again, I know if you just know your nature and your tendency, I am naturally the Henry, then I know to okay, step it up a little bit, stop, it's not the Mona Lisa, everything doesn't have to be, everything's not going in a museum or something. Nobody cares, this is my garage wall.
You don't know that.
You know what I mean? It's it's inconsequential, so, but at the same time, we put a lot of time and love and effort into this stuff. We want it to be, we're emotionally, spiritually, financially, invested in this stuff in all the ways. So we care about it.
Yup.
it's not whatever, but at the same time, like,
Okay.
it's fun. This is just fucking around. So
Yeah.
seeing what this weird spray paint clouds can do. So speaking of that, let me try to like do some weird funky stuff on here. Let me just back up a little bit. Look at what I'm working on. Okay, it's kind of coming out cool. I'm kind of loving like the bubbles and the splashes and stuff. Like a little more of the highlights are
Yeah.
working.
I love it.
I feel like I could get more like
like a
digital funk going on.
shadow.
Like the DNA stuff over there kind of
you
got
mean
covered
like-
up a little bit, but like start
glitchy kind of stuff.
glitchy. Yeah,
Flowy
there's
glitchy?
the word. There's the word. Yeah, you want me to pay?
You love the glitch.
Love the glitch.
Okay, I had one more realization, and I'll let the topic go. That my Henrietta-ness, especially with this genre this genre, this type of this style that I do, style, same thing. I realized that I'm super Henrietta when I start something, but once it's got like its bones, then I can actually just like be free and just flow with it, and it's way quicker. It's really just getting it started. I don't know if you feel that way about your
No.
stuff sometimes.
No.
No.
Honestly, I kind of gotten over like the startup block like a long time ago with like the whole like okay like you know the picking it up so to speak.
Picking
When
it up, you said?
Yeah, like when it comes to like the art and stuff, like
Yeah.
I kind of know how to get my warm up and like my reps in, and I think that like part of like staying consistent and staying active with it is like having a ritual and just knowing how to like drop into
For
it. So I usually actually
sure.
don't have that problem because I have so many projects going on.
True.
My problem is okay, sitting down at the project, I know what I'm supposed to be doing versus what I would rather be doing. So like that's where this paint cast comes into play, right? The Artifakt Hour. That is like I don't know how long it's been going on so far.
Oh yeah. How
About
long
a half
are we
hour
going,
or so.
Tom?
How long are we into this? Just curious.
We're
How
in
long?
50 minutes. We've
50.
been talking for 50
Wow, so
minutes.
we are almost at an hour.
We
Damn.
talk a lot.
Well,
mean-
we'll keep going. The point was to tap into paintings that are kind of just for the fuck of it, because what I'm supposed to be doing, quote unquote, is like working on a sign, working on some client stuff for our
Branding.
studio. You know, Artifakt is our business. You know, so it's like, you know, there's things that like I could be doing, but like at the end of the day, like it's what you expressing what you feel in the present moment is always getting the best results. So it's like there's no sense of what you should or shouldn't be doing when it comes to art. Like you really honestly
Agreed.
just feel it and go with that. Like that gets the best results.
Well,
like,
yeah,
man,
creative
all the time.
expression is
But-
it has to be natural. It has to be present, real. It can't be forced.
Yeah, but you also can't blow off responsibilities and stuff. So, you know, there's a fine line with this. So, but it's nice to take a break and just jam on this door. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get to do like this kind of painting all day. I kind of just like cut wood and like, you know, like sanded and like that kind of stuff. So like I did some like good old fashioned manual labor, you know, which is also good to take a break from the paint stuff and balance it out. But if I don't do the paint stuff, I'll also get
He'll
you
go
know,
crazy.
yeah, you'll go crazy
Just
with
a
the other
little
shit.
crazy.
So balance is key.
Very, very crazy. Yeah, I feel you. Honestly, like my brain, especially, you know, in the winter, there's less nature, there's more screens, at least for me and what I'm working on lately. And what's my point? Screens are not healthy and they hurt in a very deep way. And so pulling my eyeballs away from the screen right now just to look at something that's, what's the word you use? Analog? I mean, I know that's not really the word for
Hey,
it. But
I hope
kind
you
of.
know our viewers are looking at screens. That's how they're viewing
know,
us.
I'm
So
sorry. Okay, all I'm
so
saying
let's,
is
like-
I'm grateful to personally get a break from a screen because I was on one all day, and to be looking at what I'm painting. It's just a nice reprieve. That's all.
I hear you. Well,
Oh please, we all got the screens. We
Yeah.
know.
yeah, that was you know that is one thing that like I think with this live stream stuff, like I've always watched live streams. I'm always been into them, but I was always like, do I really want it to contribute to keeping more people locked onto the internet. And it's like, dude,
do it either way.
like that's where we get this stuff. That's where we consume this content. I watched an art podcast all day today while I was doing my work, and it was awesome, you know? So
Yeah.
it helped me and informed me about, you know, my career and my you know, style and all these other things, and like I found that super beneficial. So
Yeah, if you're gonna
that was like a little
consume, might
validation
as well
for me
be-
to like just keep like just like going with it. Like something's there, like, you know, someone will find some value out of it one way or the other. And if you don't, guess what? It's free. So, you know, nothing lost, nothing gained.
Yeah, but I do feel good about contributing to technology, social media, you know, live show, whatever you want to call it. And I feel good about it because what we're contributing isn't garbage. Like this is like you know, like our intention is really awesome.
We're
I think.
cultured.
Yeah,
It
I
has
mean
substance. Is that what you're saying?
substance. That's the
Substance.
word.
I mean, yeah, I hope so. I think visually, like if it's a video medium, I always felt weird about, you know, podcasts that like you weren't really looking at anything. Like people are talking and it's like, okay, like I get what their face looks like and stuff, and like, you know, I kind of
Yeah.
lose I really tend to listen to most of that stuff on through headphones, you know.
Yeah, and like don't get me wrong, I love, you know, like Mr. Beast, but the truth is he just like, you know, he gives people money and he blows a lot of shit up, but like I wouldn't call his kinds of videos like substance, so to speak. Like you said, art, culture, whatever, like you're learning something, you're sharing something that's got a little bit of you know, contemplative quality to it.
I suppose.
I feel good about what we're doing.
I suppose, yeah. I mean,
You know?
we'll see. So like, what am I doing right now?
Yeah, what are you doing?
That's kind of been my whole question. What
Yeah.
I'm trying to do is like deal with all these crazy funky colors and kind of like tone some shit back, honestly.
You mean the colors already on the wall?
Yeah, like some of it's mad loud, and I'm actually feeling like, hey, how can I like set some of these back? And so I got some weird caps here. I'm just gonna do like more flares and more blends and more splatters and shit. So this is called the Frogger cap because this is like green. That one's all fucked up. This green one has a little red dot on the front of it. That's it's like a really good fat cap, hybrid cap type situation. Basically, it gets you fat lines or skinny lines, depending on how you lay it down.
All right.
So I'm really just like
Ooh.
trying to like blend a couple pieces in, you know, a couple sections of this.
Cool.
It's really got like almost too much blue, honestly.
Yeah,
Audrey,
it's very
Audrey, can I
blue.
get some like color?
Color ideas? I mean,
Like
honestly,
just give me a little feedback on like what it could use more of and what it
Okay.
could use less of, just to kind of balance it out.
I love that the blue is the main like feeling coming out of it. I love the little streaks here and there of like pinky, orangey stuff.
Okay,
Which
so something
feels very
warmer.
opposite. I love that. Like the green and the DNA thing, I'm like, take it or leave it. And
Okay.
it's not even because it's a DNA helix, it's simply because I just think the colors look really powerful. The blues against the orangey, pinky stuff.
So orangey
It's-
pink.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Yeah, you
already
see 'em,
in
they're
it.
already
They're
there.
already in it, and like
I love it.
I didn't love them at first,
Now
but
I
like
do.
they're there. So let's run with it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going into the vault here and busting out a couple colors. Magenta, blue, violet. I got a couple oranges, and yeah, that'll give it just enough
Yeah,
flavor.
do it.
All right. Yep. Digging through all this paint, and I'm just matching up colors here, cause that's what you do. I like to like the donut. It's like the top of the top of the can call it a donut. So like it's nice to look at different colors and be able to compare them.
How have I never heard you use that term before?
I don't know.
Been hanging
See,
out
you
here
learn
for a while, and I've
s-
never heard you call that a donut.
You learn something new every day.
The donut, you said?
It's just a donut. It's like the little
Right.
donut. You see
Oh,
how it's like
that. You mean the color swatch
you can
on
take
the
you
top
can
of
take it off. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
know that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I've
that's
never
what it's
heard it called
It's
anything.
called a
That's so
donut.
funny.
All
Okay.
right.
Don't laugh if you're watching this live stream right now. This is me, the Henrietta thing. This is me getting somewhere. But come on, I'm getting somewhere. I just started this. Getting somewhere. Because I stopped fighting with the paint. I just thought, since I've obviously been painting, but I don't think you saw it, that you might as well want to see it. I know. It's not a big deal. You'll see. It's going to transform. I mean, maybe not during this, maybe not by the end of this show, but one day.
Are you talking to me?
I'm just talking.
Is this the Audrey Testero hour?
No. No.
It was Audrey's birthday yesterday. I just want to say happy birthday to Audrey.
Thanks, babe.
She is a huge part of Artifakt here. She's been with us for almost 2 years, and it's totally it's transformed our studio quite a bit. Meaning she books all the gigs and manages this place, and honestly she runs this shit in a lot of ways. I'm just the guy who paints stuff, but she honestly gets a lot of these gigs for us and keeps me working and keeps us busy and holds shit down. So shout out to her. And she does a lot more around here. She's more than just a pretty face. She she really keeps stuff in order, while I can kind of
create the chaos.
Exactly. Yes, it's very much chaos and order. But that's this is how this works. If I can stay in the pocket longer with art, I can, I did all the management and admin and all that stuff for this business since it started, and now she's taking so much off of my plate. It helps me be able to be a better artist, because I can be more of a full-time artist, not just half-time, part-time artist, part-time agent, manager, et cetera, et cetera. There's these jokes of an artist has to be their own everything, and it's it's amazing what happens when you don't. It definitely improves my output and productivity, and I know that I get the credit for that. But without her, I wouldn't be able to even get a lot of those projects or be able to actually do them, because I would be busy with other stuff.
You're so sweet. Thank you for the shout out. But honestly, the truth is, teamwork makes the dream work. But seriously, it's about roles and staying in your lane and just it works really well and we talk to a lot of our artist friends about this who don't have agents or this kind of support. It is so useful to have one person doing the type A technical stuff and one person doing the type B creative stuff, because those are two totally separate parts of the brain. But it is also very useful for boundaries. When we first started working together, the joke was that Ryan needed a gatekeeper. And it's really that. It's having some clarity.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah, some boundaries around stuff, because if you want to go in with a client or a whoever and chat about creative stuff, it totally isn't possible, or the conversation gets derailed if it suddenly turns into technical stuff.
Right. So
contractual
what it really
stuff,
is,
money stuff, whatever.
I always call it separating colors and numbers.
Yeah.
So if you're having a conversation with somebody, it's got to be one or the other.
Yeah.
We're either going to talk about the art or we're going to talk about business, because if we mix the two in the same conversation,
muddies the waters.
This is specifically with a client or someone like that you're working with. it muddies the waters. And like, art is expressive. It's, it's vulnerable. It's open. Business is not. It's cut and dry. It's clear. It's to the point. So like those are two different conversations, and they're better off coming from two different people. Because in business, sometimes you kind of got to be like a jerk, honestly, and you got to kind of lay down the, get to the point. And like in art, you really got to be flexible and able to kind of like sort of, feel it out and try to feel or what the thing is, what you're, what you want to do with it, It's a feeling kind of thing. So you just can't, like, if I want to talk about, what kind of art you looking for? Like, we gotta get personal, and business, there's just not a place for that. So it's, again, a boundary thing that working together has helped us really figure out.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So anyways, back to painting. I'm still messing with blue. I can't get away from blue. I don't know why.
I've been on blues and greens all night, actually.
I know what this paste needs since I have a tear duct.
Ooh.
Trying to just like get this drippy situation going on. So like this formula is really good for drips if you got the right caps on it. Oh yeah, it's ideal because again, water based. So like if you add water to it, this stuff will like flow. You can splatter it. You can get crazy with it. So just doing a little tear duct action because why not? And the drips look cool coming off these little 3D. Oh.
What happened? Oh.
I don't know. I'm just
pretty sure that's what you wanted, eh?
I'm just getting paint everywhere all over the floor.
I mean.
So.
That was the point.
Yeah. Again, embracing the chaos and imperfections here. Not always what you want it to be, but exactly what it is supposed to be.
Exactly what you need.
Well, it's got a mind of its own. Like spray paint isn't the boss, dude. You're not the boss. Like when you're using this stuff, it's like you're not in control. There is no control. Like what, and that's the point. You want it to be. It's supposed to be wild and untamed. Like spray paint doesn't want to do what you want it to.
You trying to say spray paint don't give a fuck?
Yeah, well, I'm saying spray paint itself is rebellious. Like
for
even
real.
just the medium of it itself, it rebels against its user. It rebels against me the wanting to use it. It wants to just do its own thing, and like you're like,
super ironic.
Right? Yeah, no, it's great. It's hilarious. But so like what I'm doing is like I have this cap. This is an awesome cap. This is called the needle cap. I think you can see it here. It's got this little like needle extension thing on it. And basically what it's doing is it's just like shooting a fine mist, like a spritz at the wall. So like I can get these like, I don't know how much you can see them, but they're like kind of like a star, like a celestial kind of star splatter pattern, which is fun and adds a lot of like layers and texture and depth and detail to this already
cool.
super textured door.
Yeah, it looks great. Looks great from here.
Yep. So, thank you. I don't know. Still feeling it out here.
Same. It's funny. We're actually we never do this on purpose, but there's always some sort of alignment. I feel like in that you were just asking me about color palette stuff. And not only are we using similar color palettes, you're also, like you said, kind of just going simple with it. And I'm stuck on 2 colors and that's it. And part of me is like, maybe that's all I should be using. Like less is more.
Well, it's funny. When I first painted this door, I did it in this solid blue, right? It just blasted it out. And that's why it has that blue like tone and undertone to it, because that's what the base coat was.
Oh.
But we went over it and we started using all these crazy loud colors. And I remember like using, like you said, the pinks and that stuff. I've got to work it in to make this piece work. As much as like, I feel like these colors are loud and they're hard and they're clashy. I'll got to figure out how to make them work. So.
Oh no!
All right. Because the
Oops.
blues, like, I love what's going on. Like the little drips off that eyeball. Like I'm kind of just, I don't know, getting a lot more loose with it. So then I can come back and like I can always go over spray paint and come back and like tighten up certain sections if I want it to be like look or feel a certain way. You know?
Apologies for my outburst. I had a spill. It's so funny. You're like basically like selling how awesome spray paint is, while I'm trying to
Struggling
convince
with anything
myself
else?
that any other medium is any better or even close to it. You know?
Well, it's only this way because of like you know.
Because what?
I'm saying like it's only like this because I've been using it. You
Well,
know,
yeah,
for
yeah, of course.
however long, which honestly, at this point, like I'm going on about 15 years of non-stop spray painting. It's kind of like absurd. I don't know. It's a really
It's impressive.
funny, weird, silly hobby that I didn't know I'd be doing for this long. You know, when I started it, it was really kind of an innocent thing. That was just fun. And still is. But again, like when you pursue anything or take something seriously, you can definitely get like,
Transforms
you
it.
know, just deepen it to where you're like, you know, you forget it's all in the basics. You know, so
Yeah, I feel that.
like that's how I feel about this live stream stuff right now. I'm like, yeah, I've been spray painting for 15 years, but I've been like doing live streams on YouTube for about a week, you know. So I'm like, I feel like this stuff, it's like,
Answer it.
you know, we're brand new to this kind of concept or setup, which is interesting. And I think trying to bridge the worlds, like that's the goal here, is to try to take what is like spray paint is this like ASMR type experience. Like it's like
Yeah.
everybody loves, you know, like everybody loves doing it. It's so satisfying. It's just like the saturation of color, the way it covers, and just like there's a lot about it that's like it's fun, honestly, for me. Just from like a first person point of view, and like I just think that like it's also the techniques in culture and concepts behind spray paint are heavily guarded to the point that like is virtually non-accessible outside of you know, first-hand experience or doing it yourself or knowing people who do it themselves and being around it. So we're just really trying to bridge the gap to like in a more universal internet audience that like can kind of see into it or understand it from a third person perspective, like get a peek into just like learning more about this kind of like process and stuff. Because like again, this stuff has not, even this water-based spray paint, to me it's still like revolutionary. Even artists haven't heard of it, like, you know. So there's things here that like, I don't know, I think it would be valuable. Like a lot of artists ask me about spray paint and want to get into it but don't know where to begin, and so this is like our way of kind of opening that door.
And speaking of said audience, we have some awesome viewers who are commenting and engaging
Word?
with us, and we super appreciate that. And somebody, I didn't catch the name. Did you see their name? Crazy Mel? I love that.
Word.
Hey, Crazy Mel. Thanks for reaching out. So you were asking where Ryan's mural is in Miami, in Wynwood, that he just painted back in December for Wynwood Mural Fest. It's at this awesome place called Punch Elite Fitness. If you just Google that, you'll find it. And when you get there, there's this big like courtyard parking lot thing that's just smashed with beautiful murals and graffiti. And yeah, that's where you'll find it.
Hey Mel, good to hear from you. Glad you tuned in. Yeah, the Wynwood spot this year was again, like she said, it's like it was great. It was like this one like whole well, actually it was two buildings, but like
Yeah.
honestly, what, like 30 artists at least probably hit
yeah,
the building
maybe more.
within like a week.
Yeah.
So it went from like
Jam-packed.
barely touched to completely covered.
Yeah, it was
Very,
cool.
like,
It was
so
so
quickly.
organic how it became a thing. I think like the week before the Mural Fest started, painting that building was just like a maybe idea by the people running it, and it was clearly so organic how some people were then brought in and it was like curated for them to paint it, but then people were showing up just to paint graph and like fill in those extra spots, and it just became this like incredible museum.
Well, it's like,
or gallery, I should say.
It's like this. Like,
It was awesome.
what it is, it's about feeling it out. Like, you have to have a sense and an intuition for spots. Like, when it comes to permission spots versus like graffiti spots, you gotta know like who and what type of people are gonna, be into you letting you do your thing. And like in this case, like with Winwood, with Winwood, in this case, it's like creative freedom. Like, we're just coming in and doing all this, out of our own pockets. So we're just gonna do whatever we want to do. Like, they don't have any say in that, and that's the hardest part. Like, you gotta find spots that people are just gonna let you go off, like, and do your thing. It's way easier to come across down there, or in places where street art's more saturated, because people understand it and trust it, and they know like the lifespan. Like, it's not forever. Like, someone else could come by the next year and cover it. If you don't like it, there's gonna be a bunch more artists coming by next year, and you know what I mean. Like, you can always change it out. So it's like one of these things that, like, I don't know, you got to feel out like there's legwork, like scouting spots. It's like, like you see a building or a spot you like that's like hasn't been touched, which, it's kind of rare down there. But like it's like, you just got to go further. You got to get creative and go further into the outskirts of the city. And like, there's plenty there's always more walls. There's always more space. That's what I don't get. Like, when people don't have spots, I just don't understand what they're even talking about.
No
like,
pity.
There's so much in the like space in this world to paint on. Like, you're really waiting for people to give you permission. Like, you're gonna be waiting until you're dead. Like, honestly, like, you cannot wait for the phone to ring. Like, you want spots, like, you want to paint stuff and spray paint stuff, like, go get it. Like, there's so much out there, and you can't be concerned with someone seeing it or not, or it being in like the most visible place or this or that. Like, that's not what it's about. Like, first and foremost, like, our spot in Wynwood in Miami it wasn't in the heart of Wynwood at all. Like, it was basically in Overton. It was like on the outskirts.
Yeah, definitely the outskirts.
It's still a hop and a skip, and nothing's that far away. But like, still, it wasn't about like, we had it was way more low key and chill. We didn't have to deal with traffic. We could park wherever we wanted to.
Or
like
tourists.
Yeah, we didn't have to deal with all that bullshit and like, we just could just paint. And the people who were really down, like, we had our own fucking party. I mean,
it was sweet. Actually, we really did.
The
at
wall
a certain
is
point,
the hang. Like, there's nowhere to go. Like, I can't. It's funny watching people like trying to find where it's at, and it's like, dude, like, if you can't find it right here, like at the wall, like, to me, that's all I'm there for. Like, is because I love that hang, like, more than anything. And it could be, hanging at someone else's wall, or when people are hanging at your wall, and it's just like,
it's so fun.
It's just the best.
It's like a cookout kind of
for
feeling.
us. It's like, for us as artists, it's like our shit, So, we just, I gravitate towards that energy.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the Mural Fest down there, because it is organic. Like, it's on the street, and it's just, it's curated, but it's like, it's just what's happening is happening. And so there's like, what it has is like, it's rich with potential, and meaning, like, anything could happen. Like literally, like, you could, like, spots could open up, and you gotta be there in the moment, ready for it. Like, again, the whole like trying to plan shit. It's like,
oh yeah, we didn't even get that spot until we were physically down there.
Yeah,
in Wynwood. Like, we tried to get it planned and done before getting down there. It didn't even work.
Yeah, I try to explain that to people. Like, I'm not like able, like, it's like I could give you a location, but I can't give you anything like about anything of what it's gonna be or where it's gonna be or any of that until it's
Yeah.
there. Like, and it should change from moment to moment, like up to the
Oh,
very
yeah.
last moment. And it's just, it's not like a solid thing, you know. You're just, I don't know how to explain it, but
You're explaining it. It's as organic as it can be.
yeah, like when one person's painting, like then, you know, all of a sudden, you know, like the more people that are making art and the more creativity that's happening, the more potential there is for more creativity to like spawn out of that. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you have one person painting a wall, like when I just paint a wall individually by myself and I'm out in the world doing my street art thing or painting a mural on the side of the street, chances are one of my art friends might come around and they might say, "Oh, hey, what?" And know that I'm there and come hang out, right? And now it's two of us, and say they get involved somehow or they're painting
Yeah.
or this or that. Now, you know, it can very quickly evolve to where then someone else will come and it will grow into an art production if you let it.
experience.
You know,
Yeah.
just by the sheer like magnetism of like you creating something. All
And
of a
the
sudden,
nature of it being on the street as opposed to in a studio or a gallery, or you know what I mean?
like basically like yeah, like when if I can go around knocking door to door and ask people, can I paint on your business? And they're going to be very how many of them are, they're not really going to entertain the idea very seriously. But if they see you painting something, how many people approach and go, "Oh my, would you paint my barbershop or my this or my that?" And it's like the potential opens up simply from you sitting there painting something. So even if you're just out on the street painting something for free for the fuck of it, and you're more likely to find work or connect with people or find the next like clue in the game of like where you're trying to go with it, just by simply being out there and doing it and attracting that energy to you. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it all starts. Like, you know, people aren't going to ask you for something if you're not already doing it. But if they see you doing it and they like the work, they're going to ask, and it's going to open and say, "Oh, I've just been painting walls," and people go, "Oh, I have a building. Can you paint my building?" You know, and it's like it really is one of these things that like it's just the ripple effect.
Yeah, and in that way, street art is what we're saying is street art is just as much like the experience of it and of the process is just as much a part of the work as the finished product, if you will, is.
right.
Because the experience is totally part of what creates it. You keep talking about
Well, it's
the
part of the
observer,
environment, right?
The observer effect, like it's another layer of that. It's another way of saying that. The observer effect, the audience effect, the like the same way.
Quantum thing.
Yeah, but if you're like
Whatever.
specifically live painting a mural at a music festival, that's an even more amplified example of what I'm saying. That it's 1,000% that the environment you're in is a big part of what's creating whatever's on the canvas or the wall.
Yeah, facts. So, but it's really your job to like harness that situation, and like it's a double-edged
Exactly.
sword. Like the more pressure you feel from that, like I've been able to bring out some pieces that I would have never brought out before. You know,
Yeah.
so I kind of need that a little bit, and I think that's another part of where this paint cast thing comes in, because if it, you know, I love live painting, but I don't love committing to doing so many like festivals and live events. So how can, because you have to like, I basically have to pick up this whole studio and like travel somewhere with it, and it's difficult to be able to produce the same quality thing somewhere that isn't my like home base, you know. So like, how do I do that? Like, it's easy, you know. It's basically like if I can live paint in studio, I'll probably paint more often and faster, and maybe hopefully better quality pieces. But I don't know. We'll see about that. I still don't love this necessarily, but maybe that's just me.
This being what?
What I'm doing right now. I don't
Uh-huh.
see. I have no like destination here. I'm kind of
Yeah.
just riffing, the same way I'm just talking. Like
For sure.
I really don't know. I think you know, like with abstract weird stuff like this, it is kind of like, okay, I could just go till I done and don't want to do it anymore. Like it's kind of gonna be that simple.
May I play the peanut gallery?
Say what?
I said, may I play the peanut gallery?
Sure.
It feels like I love how the shapes or scribbles, if you will, that was already there before you started, all the way on that's what's now left of that, all the way on the right side and all the way on the left side. I love how those shapes play into the eyeball because it gives it like it looks like the eyeball is in some sort of shadow or pocket or eye socket. I don't know, but it's really
what is it?
It's
Say,
cool.
Say that again.
So the curvy, scribbly shapes all the way on the right that are orangey and pinky, and then the ones all the way on the left.
Yeah.
Have now been transformed into what looks like some sort of shape or thing or eye socket that is actually encapsulating the eye. Like they're lending to the shadows that separate them from the eyeball, and the shadows look like, ooh, that eyeball is in something. Like it's encapsulating the eyeball. It's cool. It's really peeking out, but it's not peeking out of like normal skin like we're all used to seeing.
Yeah, well, I like that it's like over this grate and stuff. I want to just play more into like the mechanical weird cyborg aspect of it, because it's like,
I gotta commend you though. You like talk about the canvas being not at all flat and a challenge. You did the most detailed parts of it, and really awesome. Like you nailed it, and it's on like the graded. You got to go in with the camera on this at some point. It's like that where the eyeball is, like the iris. It's on like the graded, crazy cross in the center of this thing. Damn, that's impressive.
well, yeah, that's like the fun part for me. It's like the challenge is like, yeah, like making something look like something it's not. So like it's every murals to me are like, it's like illusions. It's a magic trick. It's like,
Oh yeah.
it's a wall. You just make it look like it's not a wall, like by putting a picture on it. So I always thought that's like fascinating. Like, and now like I feel like with like artistically, I'm more like, it's not about trying to render something that looks real anymore. It's more like I'm going back to like the roots of abstraction of just like, playing with surrealism or playing with like, just like more of the, conceptual elements where it doesn't have to look like anything at all, but like, in a way, kind of going a little deeper, like more like subconscious with it.
Ooh.
So it's like, there's always meaning. Like it always means something, I guess.
I mean,
how can it not? Like, you're pulling it from somewhere, and if it's coming from an authentic place in your soul, then it's gotta have. It will maybe mean something to you, whether you know it or not.
Definitely.
At the time, like that's the best. Like I don't know what it means to me now, but it'll mean something later. Right? I know that.
Well said.
Kind of going over all these weird little spots. All right, I need to kind of spread some of this pink out a little more, and this orange.
Yeah, orange. That's what I need. Oh man.
It's like, it's a tough color to work with because I don't like really, I'm not interested in like overdoing it. It's loud,
Yeah, but what it looks like in your piece right now is, it's so subtle at this point. You dialed it back so much that it has a nice effect without taking over.
Okay. Word.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not really going to talk as much because I am kind of like, I'm realizing that silence, like there is a bit of silence that I think is sometimes necessary to work shit out in your head.
Sweet.
At least when you're freestyling.
And now, a word from our sponsors. Just kidding, just kidding.
Gotta step back. So yeah, there's this thing I've been talking to myself in my head about, which is called, I call it the pocket, right? And like, I gotta remind myself when I'm painting to step out of the pocket more, because I do. It's like it's a Henry trait to stay in the pocket, to be so in the painting that you can't step back from it. And with walls, especially, it's important. Like, you gotta be able to see the forest from the trees, so to speak.
For sure.
Yeah, so stepping out of the pocket, it's like being in the pocket is like being up close to the painting and working out those little crispy details, but then realizing okay, I gotta step back because sometimes those details might not even matter or might not show up as much as I think they do.
I've learned that.
Oh, wow,
a lot.
okay, yeah. I like this, I like how this is looking here now that I'm stepping back and
Yay!
kind of soaking it up a little bit. I mean, I definitely think there's
it.
a lot more I can do with this pink and purple. I mean, not purple, pink and orange.
It's funny though. It does somewhere in there have a purple look to it. It might just be my eyes, but
No, there is a dark purple in there.
oh,
too.
there is. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of weird colors. You really just play with what the water base,
Yeah,
the couple cans we had at the time
that makes sense.
when we started this.
Yeah, it's great. Love it. Hi.
Wow. I just smacked the can right into the
What did
edge
you
of the
smack?
door.
The door?
Nothing. All right, so I'm kind of just getting still getting weird with it. I feel like I should throw some paint at this just to kind of finish off this session here and I don't know. Again, are things ever done? No, not really. We could always go further with these things and usually do. And a short little video or session is not enough to always finish a whole entire piece. But there's a couple things I want to throw in here before we
Literally, right?
call it a wrap for the night. But yeah. Honestly, I just want to throw some paint at it. So
I think that's becoming a theme, and I like it.
yeah, one of my
I mean,
favorite
you do
things to
that a
do
lot.
is use one of these cups and basically just fill it with paint from these water-based cans, and then be able to just kind of throw it at the canvas, in this case, the wall.
But what's so clever that he didn't tell you? One of these cups, as he said, is actually the case or the cover for the cap on the can when you buy it.
Yeah,
it's just such
so
a cool
all
way
those
to
little
repurpose something.
like these come on the top of them. They're recyclable as paint cups. So like, you know, you don't just have to throw them away. Like,
yeah,
or we don't
like
buy
to
paint
repurpose
cups.
things.
We just use these. So it's like basically a great way to just like throw splatters of paint at the wall, at the risk of covering this brand new sweatshirt, which I'm gonna remove.
Good plan. Good plan. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, likely. There is likely already paint on it, but 'tis the life of a painter.
All right, I'm back. Trying to not get paint all over my clothes. It's been known to happen once or twice. So basically, it's a really simple process. Spray in the cup, step 1. Step 2, hiya, throw it at the piece. There's definitely a way in which to like throw it to get kind of like the effect you want. To me, it's kind of like a snap of the wrist. It's like
You're trying to say it's like baseball?
It's a hiya. It's like a karate chop. You kind of just gotta like flick it, but in like a kind of a firm, assertive way to get it to like, leave the paint cup. So
For sure.
you can even mix colors in too if you want, but it's a hiya. Like you have to like cha like to get it to,
Nice.
leave the container.
Is that a fluorescent orange that's on there?
No, it's just a bright orange. Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, like, I love how these splatters look, and that's why I
Yeah.
do them so much. I don't think I do them enough. Like, it's just like I don't know. There's something about it that it adds. I think it comes back to the imperfection thing, right? Like, I can live with the imperfections of a piece, especially when it's covered in splatters on top of it, because it kind of sets everything else back for me. Those splatters sit on the top and they pop so much that like anything that's underneath them kind of feels like it's supposed to be there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Good way to put it.
So depending on how you get them, it's all about like not too much, not too little, kind of like with everything. Less is more. So just hitting like a couple key areas. Like if I'm doing pink splatters on top of the pink spots, just to give it more momentum and movement, almost as it's exploding, And honestly, this stuff's fun, especially when you don't have to worry about where it goes or making, if you don't have to be clean with the work or the space you're working in, then, that's a bonus.
Yeah, even more freedom. So that's why we love it in here.
Well, yeah, the beauty of having a studio, right? Like things you couldn't necessarily do if you're painting somewhere else. So, yeah, that's why doing this paint cast like live in the studio gives us all these like different options that like I couldn't just like throw paint up in the club. You know what I mean?
Up
like
in the club.
I'm just saying, where else would you be live painting in the winter?
Oh, yeah,
And
that's a good point.
you know what I mean? Like,
That is a good point. Literally
You can paint
up in the
indoors. I
club.
live paint indoors, you
Yeah,
know, but I
up
can't
in the
throw
club.
paint at the wall.
Yeah.
Or even in like
Now we
certain like
can.
workspaces, you know.
For sure. Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, so I've kind of laid down some pink. Let me just step back a little bit.
Ooh. Love those splatters. Sweet splatters.
All right, a little orange just to match, balance out the pink. And then I almost think we're there, at least for now.
Yeah. Knowing you, you'll be adding little doodads and things
Yeah,
over the
obviously,
next week or month or something.
But I will say, like the painting from last week, I actually ended up finishing a couple days, like a day or two later.
Oh yeah.
And now it's in a gallery show that premieres or comes out next week, I believe.
Did you get photos
The
of that?
25th. I do. I have photos of the piece and everything.
Yeah,
So
I need those.
I just want to say that the first paint cast was very successful in terms of, motivating me to finish and, keep like the momentum moving in the studio.
Rock. Yeah, the part of this was also an accountability factor for our paint practices, if you will.
Yeah, like we just want to paint more cool shit. So mission accomplished because that painting was sitting in here since the summer and I had no other reason to finish it. So I created a reason to finish it. Then this show popped up. It was a glow in the dark theme, so I needed something that glowed. And of course the stencil we did last week glows in the dark. So it totally worked out.
Bing,
like,
boom.
And now the piece gets to, be in a show and maybe hopefully someone buys it or at least people see it and they vibe with it and that's cool too. But yeah, I really feel like I'm kind of just doodling around now. I think like it's good to maybe take a break on this and call this a wrap, I think.
Yeah.
Let me just take one more step back here. Give it a look. It's an eyeball. I don't know, it can always, like, with this abstract stuff, like, it can always go deeper, like, so.
Definitely.
I think certain parts of this, I think we've given them the inside peek, and I think, like, no pun intended here, but, like, a look
Clever.
into the process, but I think that, like, I should really kind of just, like, take more time on this and finish it up, like, in my own time.
For
just
sure.
to give it like the due justice. But yeah, we post pictures of all this stuff on our social media platforms. Artifakt Studios, at Artifakt Studios. Artifakt has a K. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, our website, artifaktstudios.com. Of course, this is our YouTube channel, so this is where we're going to be posting this weekly live stream. Trying to keep it up every week, but we're not going to force it here. This is just us experimenting. So yeah, anyways, thank you so much for those people who tuned in. We appreciate you. We'll be back next week with another live stream. And if you're local to the area of Worcester, Massachusetts, and you want to come by, we're having an open studios this Saturday.
January
20th.
20th, yes.
This Saturday from noon to 6. We're having an open studio jam here at Artifakt. So if you want to come here and be here in person and check out this studio and paint and bring your own painting down and paint with us, that's what we're going to do. So it's totally an open free event for all ages. So yeah, all you got to do is bring a work in progress and your art materials and yourself and come down to Artifakt. You can find us online for all the other details. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Tom.
For sure, Ignite.
Peace.